So inclusive teaching means designing a course that is most likely to support the learning of all of the students in that classroom, particularly students who face significant educational barriers, either because they're the first person in their family to go to university, because they come from a group that's not historically represented in universities, or because they're dealing with a mental or psychological or learning condition that makes it challenging for them to learn in some of the ways that we were taught. So Lit 101 is literary theory, and the topic that I teach is authorship.
So that's been the central conundrum of this class. Okay, you cannot tell an author's identity through looking at a work of art or reading a work of art, and at the same time, identity remains crucial.
My experience in this class has been drastically different from other courses that I've taken, in that Professor Greene does use examples from the outside world.
Professor Greene approaches us on our level and encourages us to be uncomfortable in class.
And we talked early in the term about normalizing not knowing, that a classroom is a space for not knowing and for learning, and so they're invited to say, I don't know, maybe someone else would like to answer that question.
1 minute, and then I'm going to have you switch, so it can't be a long story. Does anyone else have a burning eye story? Okay, hands up. Caleb.
We are given permission to be human in this class, to learn as humans and have a human experience. So I feel like this class promotes a collective learning experience.
Inclusive teaching has two parts. There's a part that has to do with how you design your course, and there's a part that has to do with what you do in your classroom. It means that I'm thinking about each learner in my classroom and constantly adapting what I'm doing to make sure that the way that I'm teaching is at any given moment reaching as many students in the room as possible. It doesn't mean that everything I do is going to work for every student in the room, but it means that I have to have enough ways of conducting myself that I can actually reach different sets of students with different kinds of exercises. It also means at the level of design that, most importantly, that I take what I now understand is the hidden curriculum and I expose the hidden curriculum.
I know when I'm learning when I have substantive conversations with my classmates about the things that I'm learning or the things that I don't know.
Good morning.
We have group office hours, and I think being with other people and discussing your problems or discussing how you're learning definitely makes a difference and makes you feel a bit more human. I think when you feel that you're not learning, you realize in many ways you actually are.
I know that I'm reaching my students because I can feel the energy of their engagement. If people are angered by something I just said, if something I just said alienated them, if they're skeptical, and rather than running away from that, I try to move towards it. It's a tremendously energetic and spontaneous way of teaching because you're actually responding to the cues in the room.
I saw a lot of nodding. Did you guys feel that with the college essay?
Instead of plowing along.
I know when I'm learning, when I see connections myself in my own daily life, and when I can apply things that I've learned like Derrida or Bloom, and I can see how it applies in the real world and in the present day, and how those articles are more relevant now than ever.
So I used to really think about my classes as the delivery of content. I now think of my classes in a really different way. I noticed over the years that I was less and less interested in whether or not students were mastering the content in my classes, and more interested in whether they were learning certain skillfulnesses, ways of reading and ways of writing. But now I actually design for that. Now I really see this dynamic relationship between the teacher and the learner, and I feel like part of my job is to teach and part of my job is to create great learners.